Yeah, those are the main areas. Of course, we have some smaller projects that we will be doing, I can see my colleague's eyebrows raised, because we will be doing some this year, some traffic calming measures in West Hallows. It's programmed for this year. Before I visited West Hallows, I hadn't appreciated, I mean, councillors had been telling me the challenges, but I hadn't appreciated it until I got there for some 7 o'clock in the morning to experience myself what residents were going through. So I think the role of ward councillors is always going to be important in feeding into that information.
So, you know, we've got West Hallows that you've mentioned, Larchwood Road, 2 examples, extreme examples of very severe difficulty that you've seen for yourself because you came and visited with us, all on roads all along the A20. Greenwich, East and West Greenwich scheme has been prioritised. Residents have been told that the transport prioritisation programme will inform what happens when, but nobody has any timetable, any notion of when that will be. And I don't think it's tenable to just let it drift. And you mentioned West Hallows, and you said it's been programmed for 24-25, and we've met several times about it, obviously, as you know. But you said that traffic calming has already taken place and hasn't worked. This is kind of a different solution.
Well, I don't want to give it a label. We will sit down with you and have a discussion about what we're looking to do in the area.
So I'm not looking to go into the specifics of a particular scheme, but it's more that, you know, I wanted to raise it, and I met with West Hallows residents today, and, you know, they weren't satisfied with what they heard, in all honesty, at full council at all. And they are organising a public meeting that they've asked me to mention they'll be inviting you to. And it's because, you know, it's been 2 years and there is this sense of drift. And I think on that example, but also on the more general point, where we've got areas of severe traffic problems, we need to be able to, as a council, the council needs to be able to give residents a broad sense of when that area will be examined, reviewed, and action taken. Because at the moment, the council is managing to disappoint and, frankly, infuriate everybody, everywhere. And so I'd really urge you to, could I just urge you to think about how a broad timetable could be published?
The reason East and West Greenwich was prioritised was simply because we had given an undertaking when the last scheme was stopped to come back to it as soon as possible, and therefore we needed to do just that. Obviously, I hadn't anticipated that matters would take the length of time they have. We were of the view that we would have been a lot further down the road on a number of schemes than we have been. So this prioritisation will give an idea of what will determine what becomes a priority.
Just one last follow-up on this topic, thank you. And so that is going to be published imminently, I think you said. Yeah. So when that's shared with residents, that won't have any timings attached. That will that say, for example, this area we are deeming, the council is deeming, is priority 1 to 10 or however it's structured. People will be able to get a sense, will they, from that document of the order of interventions that are going to be executed?
I think what it will say is that these are the things that we will use to measure what creates the priority, so that when we are intervening in an area, you will understand these are the criteria. So that's what will be very clear. So there's no confusion about how we prioritise.
It will be the criteria that's being published, not the actual priority list.
The list is not necessarily what's going. I mean, as I've said to you, pop and plain, I'm really reluctant to put a list, because number one, we cannot always, given the kind of pressures that we've had. If I'd given a list 2 years ago, I would have expected to have got a lot further than I have got to date. So I don't want people thinking, you know, in 2025, I'm doing something that I'm not sure I'll do. But what people will know is what are the areas that, you know, does this area fall under this category? Does it fall under that category? Is there, you know, what's the transport network? What are the issues in that area? So if it falls under those areas, this is how we will prioritize. That's what it'll tell you.
Okay, I'll let others ask questions, but obviously we'll talk about West Hallows and Larchwood Road specifically, and having chased you up recently about it, but thank you for the answers.